This podcast contains explicit content.
Good evening, cowards.
This podcast is hardly focused.
Oh my God. No.
Dissecting the news, one tangent at a time.
We all have ADHD and anything else would be boring as hell.
Hello. We are Hardly Focused. My name is Jack, and joining me on this installment of the podcast, she's a journalist. She's a podcaster herself. Her name has been featured across publications like The Verge and Gizmodo. She has a podcast called Material, which is the easiest podcast to search for, let me tell you. And and also Android Faithful. You are on that show as well. It's Florence Ion. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for
Thanks
joining.
for having me. Yeah. I know that was kind of a long list. I'm really, as you know, as they said back in the day, diversifying my bonds.
And I'll tell you why I like you so much.
Okay.
First, because I'm very active on Threads, at Hardly Focused on Threads.
You are.
And that is...
You're one of the few reasons I log in there.
Oh, thank you.
For what it's worth, okay? I'm giving you all that credit.
You'll be pleased to know I'm incredibly popular on Threads right now. I think I broke my Threads. I'm not kidding, because whenever
did you upset some people?
No, it was what I like to call a low effort shit post, but it was literally a post about shit. It was.
Oh, those do well.
I'll send it to you, but it's one of those ones where just it's as we are talking right now, it's got 1,500 likes on it, and it's when I open up my notifications, it's literally the only notification that shows up because it did that every time I refresh it, that number just keeps going up, and it's like blocking any other notification from coming up. And it was just in response to someone who like had a poor experience with American Airlines, and their luggage was covered in some sort of brown goo.
Feces, maybe?
It
possibly?
Could very possibly be that, yes. And I just responded with it was a picture of someone who made like some sort of like French chocolate mousse, and a comment on it, someone just said, "That's shit from a butt." So I cropped that and left that as the comment, and apparently now I'm very popular on Threads for the next 15 minutes.
You are very popular you capitalized on a perfect moment in social media is really what you did. You got the screenshot at the exact moment that it happened. Yep. And that is pure luck. And this should have happened. This was always in your canon. This was always going to take off. Yes.
This is going to be the thing I'm going to be known for.
Correct.
Nothing
else.
And
the shit on the suitcase.
It's not even my story. I'm hijacking someone else's story. That's as I tend to do.
You know why I believe this story though? because I have flown a lot on airplanes, and I know what goes on in airports. Mm-hmm. You know, I watch a lot of news articles. A lot of cable news. I really love when they highlight airport workers, whether it's because they're striking or because, you know, it's travel season. So let's go to the airport and take some B-roll. And so you go to the airport, it's a really messy, dirty, nasty place. Like, it's actually not clean. There's jet fuel everywhere. And they have to empty out the bathrooms every flight, basically. I mean, or something like that.
Sure, yeah. And I have had nothing but fun experiences in the past month, just flying so much. I think I flew more in the last month than I had in years, and
which is brave of you, I just have to say.
It was I always get scared when I'm on flights. Because when I'm coming home, I don't care. But when I'm going somewhere, and it's somewhere that I know it's obviously I'm going somewhere important, and I don't want to get sick. And I think that happened the last time I traveled, like arriving at my destination. I think I caught a cold that I somehow managed to kick in like 3 days, thanks to copious amounts of zinc and airborne and stuff like that. But then was it the Hartsfield Jackson Airport in Atlanta? Oh boy, does that place stink, like both figuratively and literally. Flying Frontier. Never fly Frontier. I don't, unless you love Frontier.
So I don't. So not to be, I'm not trying to be elitist here, okay? But I tell myself if I'm going to fly, first of all, I have a United card and I live near United Hub. So if I could put it on the card and rack up some double miles, I will do that. That's usually what I try to do. Luckily for me, the place I need to go on the East Coast is directly connected from my home airport.
Okay, awesome.
I never have to fly anybody else really besides Southwest because I only ever go from here to Burbank or to Las Vegas. And those who know here on the West Coast, those are very popular destinations for Southwest. I am a little bummed that they are going to start numbering the seats though. That is really bumming me out. And also the whole not allowing 2 carry-ons anymore for free.
Yeah. Were they one of the last ones to...
Or checked in, sorry, not allowing 2 checked in for free. And yes, they were the last ones. They were trying to hold on to that like the Costco hot dog. Yeah, they were like, this is our Costco hot dog. We're never gonna, charge you for these bags. And, families everywhere, like the shit that you have to check in, God bless us, okay?
So the issue with Southwest, though, is that whoever is running that operation clearly did not threaten the lives of those who were exploring and putting in the price increase, because that's the CEO of Costco did that. Like, I think his exact words were, if you raise the price of that fucking hot dog, I will kill you.
Yeah, Southwest did not have that same conviction within them.
Clearly not.
Which is upsetting. Which is upsetting also because a heart is their logo. So they built this whole thing around like, we love you, heart, heart, heart. And I was kind of staying loyal too because I was racking up those drink tickets. They're transferable between flights.
Oh, nice. Okay.
The coupons.
I maybe I'm just simple. I ask for 2 things when I fly: Wi-Fi that works and do not crash. And we are. Which,
you know what? I think you get one of those for Frontier, and that's do not crash.
Yeah, if you're lucky. if you're lucky. But yes, we became pals because of Threads. I've been having a great time on Threads, even though I feel now it's not as niche as it was this time a year ago. Obviously, more people are on the platform, and it does feel like it's. I know a lot of people love Blue Sky, and I'm not having the same like experience on Blue Sky, but I feel Blue Sky is also still like when I go on, it's still very political. Whereas Threads, at least mine, is still, I do think it's largely how I've curated my algorithm, but it does seem like a lot of the political stuff gets filtered out on Threads for me. But you started following Hardly Focused on Threads. That's how I became familiar with you. And I was, in all sincerity, giddy and excited when I saw it was you that was following me just based on your resume and be like, oh, that's cool. That's like someone reputable is engaging with the show. It's finally happened.
I mean, the thing is, like, I feel like we're in this time right now. I've been really so let me roll back real quick. First of all, I want to say really like what you said about Threads and Blue Sky, because I think that is something that I'm having a problem with. Blue Sky is great for, I get my news and I see what my industry is up to, but then I nope out of there. Like, it's not really, sometimes my tongue just,
We're talking about airplanes and you're trying to do your best impression of this lady.
That motherfucker back there is not real.
And sometimes the algorithm over on Blue Sky is just, it's so serious and I just need to get out of there, especially lately.
Yeah.
Everything has been so heavy lately. I am trying not to be mired in that because I'm trying to focus on the projects I have going on and, really like focusing there. Threads has been fun because every time I log in, I know we've talked about, oh, your phone's not really listening to you, but actually it kind of is. With all the tracking that phones do, it knows what's going on with you in some capacity. And every time I log into Threads, it will surface something that I was either thinking of recently or that I had talked about out loud with a person nearby, or obviously something that I had Googled, like something that I had looked up. And it's always interesting because it'll range between like childhood trauma, how to deal with childhood trauma, and then it'll go like, here's some advice from how to roll a joint. And then it'll be like some very localized Bay Area news. Here's what's happening nearby you in San Francisco. It's such an interesting delight to see and interact with this meta algorithm.
Yeah.
The way they sort of set it up.
Yep. Yeah. Mine is, I feel it does the same thing because I'm so chronically behind on television and,
same, by the way. Severance, haven't seen her. I haven't seen anything anybody talks about really, except for like smaller stuff like Hacks.
Yeah. I think probably worse than you in that regard. It's been, I think it's been probably 3 or 4 years since I really sat down and like watched a like full season of a show all the way through. I think maybe the most recent season of Stranger Things might have been the last one that I really was invested in, but the show The Pit, I watched every episode of this lone season.
I know.
watched every week because I was posting a lot about it on Threads, but I would got to the point where I'd go on Threads and
I mean, not just you, it was echoing everywhere in the zeitgeist. It was just like, you need to watch The Pit. You need to watch The Pit. And, the pedigree of Noah Wyle doing it, because like you and I imagine we're old enough to remember ER.
Oh, I love
TV.
Love ER. I've seen every episode of that show at least twice.
Yes. And so having that history, also he was Steve Jobs.
Yes, he was.
He was in Pirates of the Silicon Valley.
So Anthony Michael Hall's was he Wozniak in that?
He was.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, I love ER so much. I even have
Bill
this
Gates.
I even have this in the board because I talk about it so much. The opening theme to ER.
I love that. It didn't come through very much through the stream, but I definitely.
Oh, I know why.
I think.
Hold on. I let me play that again for you.
Okay.
There we go. I knew
go.
There's a cavalcade of buttons that I have to press before we start recording, and I was thinking, I'm like, there has to be a button that I forgot to press. That must mean the intro sounded terrible for you when we started recording.
Yeah, I didn't hear it at all.
That's hilarious. I'm sorry. Oh boy, that must have been the most awkward 20 seconds of you just sitting in silence.
I was kind of just like, just wait for his cue.
That's fascinating because I never know what it sounds like on the other end if I don't have that. It's a button in Zoom.
It sounded like a garbled Skype call.
Okay. All right.
Rest in peace.
I've played like 3 sound drops now, and I realized, hey, you probably can't hear any of them. It's
okay. I can imagine as well. I try to do my own imagination, really tap into that brain.
Mm-hmm. Before we start recording, I told you, I'm like, oh, we play all the production pieces live as we record the tape, so you can hear all that. Boy, am I just embarrassed right now.
You have no reason to be. Don't you worry about it. Oh my God, the amount of technical glitches that I run into just with me and my podcasting partner on the show that we do weekly, like, I think somebody should get us an acupuncture like coupon package where we can, because it can be really stressful, and then it harshes the vibe of the rest of the podcast, because then you're like, nothing is going right.
When I bought my road board several years ago, and it really did cut down on the amount of equipment I had in my studio, the amount of cables. I mean, the thing is really, it disparagingly gets called a podcast in a box or a recording studio in a box, but it quite literally condensed everything that I was using, it reduced the number of buttons that I need to press when we are recording here. And then just in the years since, I've amassed replacement gadgetry that has since necessitated the use of pressing more buttons to get things set up. So there's bound to be one that gets missed along the way. And in today's case, it was the button that allows you to hear everything that I am playing clearly. When you listen back in the recording, it'll all be there. It'll be 100% fine and crystal clear. But
well, I'm looking forward to hearing it for the first time. It'll be a nice surprise for me. I get to revel in it.
Yeah.
My podcasting partner uses Audio Hijack, and he has like a very specific script that he runs that like starts a bunch of stuff. And I really appreciate people like you guys, because I have such a hard time with the setting up part. I still kind of do things for all that I do, writing about like new gadgets and stuff and like new tech and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. I actually am still really kind of antiquated in some of the way I do things, because it's just so much more comfortable for me.
Sure.
And I like to be comfortable. Like, life is really uncomfortable wherever I can be.
Yeah. I feel 100% the same way. I am to upgrade to the board that I upgraded to. And this is like, I've had this thing for maybe 4 years now, but it was tough because I was so set in my ways and using a lot of the same equipment that like I had since I started doing this over 15 years ago. Some of the stuff, like, it was 15-year-old equipment. Other things they don't even make anymore. Like, you can't, like, you'd have to buy it off eBay. And that's when I realized, hey,
that's when it's too old.
Yeah. Like I'm my father. I am my father. I am refusing to adapt and embrace new technology here. Maybe I should just rip off the bandage and do it. And it's like, and again, I bring up my parents, watching them now use modern technology like smartphones, which they took forever to adapt to. And once they got it, they were so excited to tell me about things like Google Maps and like Shazam and things like that. All this stuff that just makes everyone's lives so much easier. And they were saying, like, I don't know how I lived without this. I'm like, you were refusing to live with it. It's just how we operate now.
There's so many different ways I could take this conversation. I could try and take it to talk to you about AI, but I kind of don't really want to do that because I'm not ready to go into that territory. And I don't want your audience to have that be their first impression of me, that I'm some sort of AI apologist, because I might come off that way. But I definitely believe in taming the beast. All that said, because of the fact that I am carrying the millennial nostalgia torch for everybody now, and because of the fact that I see Gen Z is so interested in the way that we grew up, I have been getting back into physical media just to kind of like...
Nice.
Just to reclaim it, because I really feel like streaming made me a complacent consumer. Like, oh, I'll just pay Spotify and just log in and listen to whatever I want. But it started killing that for me. Like, I stopped listening to albums from A to Z, I stopped taking in the experience that the artists were putting out there by just shuffling everything into a damn playlist. I
am a little like worried about physical media just because I've been reading about disc rot and how that is a thing. And I don't know if people were always familiar with the concept of disc rot, and if that was a concern that people had, say, 20 years ago buying Xbox 360 games, that, hey, in 20 years, this thing might literally not work anymore. It might corrode itself, eat itself from the inside. And I too love physical media. I am lazy and buy things, digital, just because if, now we're fortunate enough now to be living in an age where it's just at our fingertips and we can just buy it like that. But there are times where I will still go out and get the physical media just so I can show it off, just so I can have it and put it on display, even if it's just on display for me. But now I have to worry about will this not function in 20 years?
That's one thing. The other thing though with the physical media is, do you have a home media server?
No.
I know this is getting nerdy. So we have a home media server, we being me and my little family here, and everybody is represented there. I'm represented with my TV. The kid is represented with her TV.
Mm-hmm.
Husband is represented with his anime. It's like, it's very perfectly curated. But what we've been doing as a family is we've basically been physical media hunting.
Okay.
Because it gets us out of the house on the weekend. You know, it's really hard these days to leave the house and not spend $100. So I'm trying to cut that down.
Yep.
It's like, maybe let's do $20 at the thrift store, you know, like that. And then we're doing some good by, you know, recycling and reusing, you know, it's like, it's a little bit better. And so trying to find physical media that we can rip to the media server.
Yes.
And so that's what I've been doing with CDs.
Nice.
DVDs. The other day, my husband got all of, what's it called? Babylon 5, which is one of his absolute favorites.
Okay, nice.
And so that's going to go on the media server pretty soon. We don't have to worry about streaming it. And when we want to watch it, we use Plex. So we just hop into the Plex app and load it up. And I really like having that ability to hold on to the media in some way.
Yeah.
And it also feels ungovernable. Hard word to say, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I do, yes.
In these trying times.
Now, you'll be able to get that, like, if you have that all centralized, then you'll just be able to pick it up on, like, any device then, as long as you can connect to it? Is that how that works?
Yeah, the app, the Plex app, we just log in, and then it hooks up to the media server that's upstairs. It's locally connected, and then if we are traveling, let's say the kid wants to watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then technically we can like dial in and the server will like turn on here at home, and then we're streaming it from home.
Okay.
And we do have to pay a little bit to Plex. We bought a lifetime membership, and so that pays for that ability, which is really nice. But it's nice. It lets us have complete control over the media, and it's been kind of a fun thing to go out and do, because I've been noticing a lot of stuff has been really hard to watch. Like, I want to watch something, I'm in the mood for something, and then I don't have it. Or it's not streaming anywhere. Or I don't have the subscription to stream it somewhere. And I don't necessarily want to sign on for the $7.99 because I'm going to forget it. And then next month it's going to be $16 out of my check instead of $8. You know what I mean? It just snowballs.
We were talking about this a few episodes ago. There was a show that was on Fox called Boston Public.
Yeah, I remember that show.
And an actor from that show just recently passed away. And so I kind of fell down a rabbit hole of just reading about the show in general, because I used to watch it weekly. Even though I was, oh God, maybe only like 11 or 12 years old when it was on, but I used to watch it weekly. I enjoyed it very much. It is one of those shows that just is impossible to find like anywhere. It's not on any streaming service. I don't even think you can purchase it on like Amazon or Apple, like the full seasons. It just exists in physical media form. I think you'd have to find like either eBay or some outlet, if it even is on DVD, finding it that way. What you just described would be probably the only avenue of getting it and putting it somewhere for mass consumption. Because right now I feel that it only exists in clips on YouTube, and that's it.
That is a real bummer, by the way, when it's always like, yeah, if you want to go watch it, just go to YouTube and piece together clips together. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous. I have done that though.
There was
when you really want to watch something, you'll do it.
there was enough material on YouTube that I was able to spend an evening just culling sound drops for the soundboard for the show.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Because it was all like, it was one of those like Boston Public without context compilations, just random moments like this.
A little birdie whispered in my ear, "You're a homosexual."
See, now you can.
Were awful.
Now you can hear the sound drops. There we go. This is there.
We were not okay.
No, we weren't. And
but you see, this is also really important for like archival. Listen, I know we weren't planning on talking about any of this, but it has been top of my mind.
Yes.
Because I have been doing research for a book that I want to start writing, and it is about like the old internet. And so all of this is related in my mind.
Yeah.
Just thinking about how I used to live life. I love having the modern conveniences I do now, obviously, but damn if it isn't nice to just slow down a little bit and pick a CD out from a library, man.
Yeah, I've got all of them just in a bin now. And there was a time where I was just, they were on display somewhere, and I was just constantly adding.
Put them back on display.
I'm
going to. I'm going to go to IKEA this summer after, had some time to like think about, and I want to find a way to aesthetically make the physical media a part of the living room decor, like in a different way than, because back in the day, I feel like what we did is we just bought whatever furniture we could and then just like slotted it in there.
Yep.
I want to figure out something modern that I could do that would also preserve them.
Yep. I remember being in this, it was like a friend of a friend's house, and the place was like a palace. It was one of those like lakeside. Yeah, it wasn't even like a mansion. It was like a lakeside property, but you go inside and it was just so modern and spacious looking. I really don't know how to describe it. It was very gray, like accents of gray, but like picture like the inside of the Voyager. Like pleasant. And speaking of Voyager, this dude had he had like an extensive DVD collection, and it was one of those just like where one of the walls of the living room was the shelf, and it was a library, and he just had like every film known to man. He had every season of every show known to man. He just did, and I'm like, how do you find the time for this? How do you do this?
It becomes the hobby.
Yeah.
So like with the whole like Saturday ritual, we're going to go get groceries and then go look for DVDs. On the plus side, I will say it has helped me diversify where I'm buying like used stuff. So I have like more places now to go look for clothes because, hey man, I'm sorry, recession indicators everywhere. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got to save some money. I'm going to do it any way I can.
Yeah.
And that means using people's old stuff.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
I was for a time afraid of stores like Savers and.
Oh, how could you be afraid of Savers, my beloved? It's the coupon that gets me because it's like, oh, I could put stuff out and then bring stuff in.
Big Lots too. Rest in peace. Well, kind of.
Oh, rest in peace.
It is coming back. I think it like not anywhere close to where I live, but I know that another company saved them in the 11th hour, and they're like reopening a bunch of locations. But it was at, I think, Big Lots where I was able to find, after talking about it for a very long time, and credit to my girlfriend Becky for helping me find this, the Bill and Ted collection on DVD, because I knew
the whole collection.
Well, it's just the first two films. I don't know if the third, it might have been manufactured before the third film even came out, which I have a physical copy of. If you don't know too, Florence, my cats are named Bill and Ted. So.
Oh, that's okay. I love that.
So I very much love Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And I can quote that first movie like almost like the back of my hand. In the second movie, I've only seen like once. It did not
didn't resonate as much.
Not as much. Third film I absolutely loved. Phenomenal. Like one of those instances of something that, comes out 30 years later and is somehow just as good as the original. But despite everybody being old now. But the first one, quote it like the back of my hand. And finding it at Big Lots. And I was so happy. I'm like, okay, I like this place now. And then I go to Savers, because Savers was a place that we had actually looked the first time for this. Couldn't find it. We go to that same Savers location like 6 months later. It had 2 copies. They had 2, which means that 2 people donated their copies of this. I'm like, this is great. I mean, I already have it now, so I don't need it. But this is great. All right. I think I like this place now.
Okay. The key is to go where the affluent live. Okay. I'm just going to be real.
Okay.
They throw out their stuff. I go to the Savers. It's like half an hour away in the rich suburb. You know, I live in a suburb, but I'm talking like rich suburb.
Yeah,
like,
the good part of town.
Like they have a Neiman Marcus. They're very rich. That's what I mean.
One of those.
Yeah, and not even San Francisco's losing its Neiman Marcus. Just put that in perspective. The kind of place this is. But I go there and the stuff, first of all, it's fun. It's really fun to go around and see like what politically unhinged things people have, because it skews conservative, right?
Sure.
And so I have found things like, one time I have a picture of it somewhere on my Google Photos, but a couple, many months ago, I think it was like a year ago, actually, I went with my friend for fun. We went to go look for stuffies. I've found a lot of Pokemon stuffies. You know, those can be expensive. He found a watch with Bill Clinton's nose being the thing that it was like his nose, and then his hands were his nose was the hour and his hands for the minute or something like that. It was, and honestly, I should have bought it.
You should.
I got scolded by my friends. They were like, "You should have bought that," and I was like, "I don't know, man," because I don't know what kind of spirit comes with it. You know, I don't know where it came from, and like, you have to be careful with that stuff, even if you're just trying to do it for the bit.
And you don't know what kind of material is on that wrist strap. Why wear a Rolex when you can wear good old Bill? That's what I said to Monica.
Oh my goodness!
I've been told my Bill Clinton is adequate, so I do it.
You know what's really sad is that I was sneak watching that case when I was like 10 years old on 2020. Like I knew what was going. I knew what was going on.
I was far too young. I was okay. So we're in the same age range, because I think I was 8 years old when that whole thing happened, and that was something that someone in that age should not have been familiar with and aware of. And it was just, it was at that point where it's all over the news. So you're just going to be consumed by it, and you'll learn about things at a young age because of it. It's the same deal with like Oklahoma City, the O.J. Simpson trial, just all these things that like little me picking up on, like, what do all these things mean? Why is this what everybody is talking about?
Power Rangers, the Power Rangers death that happened.
Yep.
That was I was very concerned as a third grader that they were going to take Power Rangers away from me because kids were beating each other up. And I was like, I'm not beating anybody up. I'm a good kid. We're just having fun. We just like the transformation scene.
That was really it. Yeah, on the playground, we would play Power Rangers.
You just wanted to do the Tyrannosaurus Rex or whatever. Like, you just wanted to do that.
Yeah, we all had. I had one. I think it was like, from like a Happy Meal toy or something. But it was one of the thing that they would hold up when they would transform. We had all of those, and we'd use them on the playground, and then we'd immediately, like, everyone had guns, and it suddenly then became something that wasn't Power Rangers. But we would always transform, though. There would be at least one transformation.
Yeah, everybody at least be transformed. That's what matters.
And there was a kid named Joey that knew all the swears, so we all learned how to swear from Joey.
I'm looking forward to my daughter being that age, honestly. And she's already like she's only in kindergarten, but already the playground fodder that I get is, I'm like, thank God the kids are still at it. Thank you. I'm so glad.
I will never forget. I was like 5 or 6 years old, and it was at recess one day, and this kid Joey is like, he had a box of pretzel sticks.
Is this the same Joey, by the way?
This is the same Joey.
Okay.
that we learned swearing from. Well, case in point, he's handing out pretzel sticks, and I remember he holds one up to me, and he holds it out like someone holding out like a box of cigarettes, like, you know, with one pretzel stick sticking out, and then the second one is like halfway down, and the rest are all stacked in there. And he's like, "Do you want one?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Cool. These are for our fucking assholes." And little me just laughed my ass off at it. As an adult, I'm like, boy, is that questionably specific.
Okay, as an adult, though, I'm laughing. I had to go laugh in the corner because I was laughing really hard. I'm sorry. It is really funny to see kids act like little adults.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, and the thing is, we have to give kids some credit because my kid, you know, she hasn't exhibited anything yet, and maybe she will someday. Who knows? But I just tell her, like, dude, don't say that stuff on the playground.
Yeah.
Somebody will get mad at you. Like, just wait until you're older. You can use words like this, you know? Like,
I'm picturing, like, you go to pick her up at school one day, and I don't know did you ever watch Seventh Heaven?
of course I watched Seventh Heaven.
Remember when Simon is getting picked up at school and he's caught like furtively flipping off one of his friends?
Oh,
and
yes.
And the whole
yes.
episode is about that. I picture that happening because then I can picture you just going, you know, of all the things you could do, that somehow isn't the worst.
I would applaud her for setting her boundaries and letting people know how she feels. I'm trying to raise an empowered person.
Yeah.
As much as I possibly can in this unempowering world.
I have to pivot because I've been like thinking
Yes.
like because there's got to be a window I can jump in here, and I think this is it. Is she too young for this, or have you gotten her into the Tamagotchis?
She's still a little too young for it.
Okay.
She's still a little too young.
You expressed
She's into
excitement.
other stuff though.
You expressed excitement on I think it was one of my Instagram stories about Tamagotchis.
Yeah, I'm a huge collector.
You were feeding yours just before we started recording.
I was. So actually, this is the Sanrio Pocket Room. It's an import. This was pre-tariffs.
Nice.
So I did not have to pay tariffs on this. Don't come after me. Right now we've got, Kuromi is really upset because I haven't really fed her in a while.
Okay.
But the whole point of this is you just carry, this is made by Bandai, so it's the same mechanics as Tamagotchi, and you just carry around. Oh god. And then I have this guy who's dying. This is my Tamagotchi Uni.
How many total do you have?
So I told you I'm a huge collector, so let me clean up the poop in here real quick. Here, I could just show you a sample.
Sure.
You got a video component to this podcast too, but audio will catch this as well.
Oh, absolutely, because we have a follow-up to this that really makes sense.
Here
Sense
are the
as a video.
accessories. These are the accessories.
In its own
for
bin.
them. Yes. And then these are just the ones that I bring to meetups.
It's like a whole sewing kit.
It is. It's actually a first aid kit I bought off AliExpress.
That's all. Oh my God.
It's not just Tamagotchi. It's like I have Gigapets. I have some knockoffs. I have like I have one of my favorite Chinese knockoffs right here on the top. It's really great. I have a bunch of little nanos. I have some vintage ones in here.
Oh, you're putting me to shame with my two.
This is like, okay, but this is, I've been doing this, you know, postpartum depression was really hard for me. Mm-hmm. So I got into collecting Tamagotchi. And honestly, let me show you. Hold on. I have one more thing to show you. We're doing a show and tell now.
Okay.
Show and tell. You started me.
Because I'm curious about your background with Tamagotchi.
Yes.
Did it only start just recently, or were you into this one during its heyday in the 90s?
I was into this in its heyday. Like
Okay.
I have some vintage Tamagotchi in that little sewing kit thing that I showed you.
Yeah.
My original ones from the 2000s are in there. I never had a original Tamagotchi in the 90s because I started with an offshoot called Dinky Dino.
Yes, me too.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm so happy you called it that because
Yes.
there was another variant of it called Raku Raku Dino-kun that
Yep.
Everyone I knew had one of those, and I was the only one that had Dinky Dino.
Yes.
I had a yellow one.
I had a green one. Unfortunately, I think it ended up at a cousin's house because, you know, I would always pass down my toys to cousins and stuff.
Yep.
So I bought it recently, and then again, buying used stuff. I've been going on Facebook Marketplace, and I've been preying on mothers cleaning out their children's bedrooms.
Nice.
Yes.
That'll be you one day, though.
I know. I found a mom who was like selling 4 virtual pets. It was a Gigapet, 2 original 90s Tamagotchi, and then the Dinky Dino. And I got a really good deal for it. I did not grossly lowball her, okay?
Mm-hmm.
She made a pretty good little profit off of it. But she didn't get the full amount she could have gotten. Because I now I go to like these shops. This is also why I'm going all these like places is to try and find Tamagotchi. The vintage market it's like investing in Pokemon cards.
Yeah. Which are still massive. Absolutely massive.
My husband does Pokemon cards. So between him and I, we have like this little network of eBay that we have going on here. It's truly sick. But it's either this or I go back to smoking a pack a day. So
same.
I have decided, that I am just going to spend money on Tamagotchi. Because at least I can maybe sell them to pay for my daughter's college education 10 years from now.
Do you have a store in your neck of the woods called Books A Million?
I don't. We have one called, our little franchise we have here in the Bay Area is called Half Price Books.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's like you can go buy used stuff. But where I go, like there's a lot of the vintage toy shops are like the big thing now that are sprouting up everywhere. I feel like Gen Xers, that's like their thing. Like that's the thing they're gonna do in their 50s and 60s is have these toy stores where you can buy vintage toys.
Let me look at Gigapets. So this store Books A Million, they have them in Florida, but you can also find them on Amazon. They're at Urban Outfitters, Office Depot. Wow, they're Joanne, rest in peace.
They're on Amazon.
Yeah, but Gigapets. I was at Books A Million and they had a whole like just kiosk of Gigapets, including, it wasn't the exact model I had, but I had the Dinky Dino and then I had a Lost World Jurassic Park edition dinosaur Gigapet. And like they make them again, they just don't have the Jurassic Park logo on them now, which is disappointing.
Gigapet, hold on. Gigapet, I need to see how much this costs. So I can make you feel bad about not having it anymore. I know.
I don't know. I remember giving Gigapet or giving my virtual pets away to friends.
So actually you could buy one right now for like $30.
Awesome. That's that's shockingly cheaper than the Tamagotchi Nano Jurassic Park line that they came out with a couple of years ago.
It's because that one was Japan only.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
See, I got very, very down the rabbit hole. I mean,
thank you for looking that up.
I'm a big part of the San Francisco Bay Area Tamagotchi Club. Like we get together every 2 months. I've made a lot of friends locally and online through this collecting, and it's just like such a nice way to not be on the internet fearing for your life.
Yeah. And
it reminds me so much of when the internet was this safe, cool place where I could go like explore stuff.
Yeah. I've got two. I've got this was the first one I bought after, a decade and a half or whatever of not having one. It was the 20th anniversary Nano, which is, there's like nothing you can do with it besides feed it and clean up after it. Case in point, it's asleep right now with shit next to it. And then I got the Grogu, the Star Wars Tamagotchi Nano, which has more options, but it's only got like a 3-day life cycle because he like Din Darren finds them, and then like you get to take care of him. And like for the first day, he's just kind of bopping around, and then the second and third day, he's in a special setting. Like right now, he's sitting in the ship of Darren's He's sitting there in ship. And then like Luke Skywalker shows up to collect him, and that's it. And then the cycle repeats. So I'm like,
the R2D2 one is like that too, by the way.
I was looking at that and was thinking, like, do I want to add to the collection of Star Wars?
Well, they have Darth Vader now too. Just came out.
Well, I was thinking of something a little more, intensive, something that wasn't just literally just feeding and just cleaning up after. So this is something that I probably have never done on this show. Maybe I've done it once before, but a bit of an unboxing. I saved this for you.
Oh.
I got it before we start recording.
Okay, I'm feeding my Tamagotchi real quick while you get it up. Oh my gosh.
Like it's literally still in the Amazon
Get it up
box
into the camera,
here.
I mean.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I realized I said a double entendre. And I didn't need to call attention to it, but I did. And I'm
You had a student with a penis as big as a sycamore.
I'm so glad you had a soundbite for that. That is perfect.
I have a soundbite for everything. What are you talking
Did
about?
I hear anyone say they were looking for penises?
As I'm just like on autopilot opening the box, but I'll show you what I got. So, very excited about this. It's Tamagotchi. It's the 90s. It's the 90s
Gen 1?
edition. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's got that like 90s, or at least I hope it does. Is it the one I ordered? It does. Yeah. It's got just that 90s motif with the shapes in the squiggles. But this is the first legitimate, like actual Tamagotchi that I have ever had. So what I'm going to do is I think just to like save on batteries, and also because I felt bad about this. I just kind of let them, like, the Nano, I should have just taken the batteries out, but the Nano, eventually he just died of old age. And I'm like, well, I'm not resetting you. And then the Grogu one went away to become a Jedi, and I didn't reset that one. And then they just kind of sat dormant for a while, and now they're back. But do I really want to take care of 3 at once?
What I mean, I'm taking care of 2 at once, which is why they're both starving right now. Today was kind of a sleepy day for me, so that's why. I also have this one. It's called Flower Go Walk, and
oh, that's cool. Look at that.
this one is a Murakami like art piece. And this one relies on you walking it, but I took the batteries out. You should take the batteries out. You should preserve the Tamagotchi, because you don't know what the reseller market is going to be like. And you could always sell it for like $20 at least.
Yes.
It'll always be worth $20.
This Grogu one,
So just think of it that way.
I feel the Grogu one at some point could go for more money.
The first edition Hello Kitty Nano is now very expensive. It's about $50, but it was originally, you could buy it for like $20. Again, it's because they don't make it anymore. The scarcity brings up the value. It's great. You don't want the batteries leaking in there either. Because I had to clean some Tamagotchi.
Yep. I had to get rid of a whole Xbox controller just because of a battery leakage, and it was just beyond repair. I've learned the hard way over the years about battery leakage, and yet I'm lazy and always forget to take them out.
Well, but it's okay. First of all, you're not lazy. We're all incredibly overstimulated and have too much to do, especially in the society we live in.
Thank you.
No, like for real. The other thing is, somebody like me, obviously I have a routine. Like I come to my desk on Saturday nights and I'm like, what can I tinker with my little Tamagotchi? Because it makes me happy.
Yeah.
So, in that routine, I think to myself, oh, let me take some batteries out. And again, it's a nice little meditation to have with yourself. And I think that all people should have a silly little hobby.
Thank you. That's what I've been saying.
It's a good little zen to come back to yourself, even if it's something silly like, let me take the batteries out of the virtual pets I'm not running this month.
There's part of me that's like, you've got a human child that you also have to take care of. I don't.
Fortunately, somebody else helps me take care of her.
That's beneficial. I've got the advantage. I've got the 2 cats. Cats are amazing in that they are self-sufficient. And then I've got a dog who is
until they want something. But yes.
Sure. And then they're adorable, but that's the only time that they're adorable, is because they want something. And then I've got the very old dog who just prefers to sleep all day, to which I say,
Yeah.
I wish I had your life. I wish I had your life.
Senior doggo?
Senior doggo. A yellow lab.
Sorry for using doggo, but you know what, Gen Z? You are all turning really conservative, so I'm going to keep using doggo. Thank you.
Mid, for real, for real. Right? That's what the kids say now, right?
It's...
I say mid
How
a
much
lot.
time do we have? Because I've been spending a lot of time with Gen Zers, and I got to tell you, like, I've never felt older. And I'm not even old. Like, I'm still in my 30s.
Yeah. Embrace
So
it.
it's like,
Em-
I know.
Yeah, there's nothing that like it doesn't like legitimately irritate me, but just knowing people that are in our age range and complain about getting old, it's like we're not. Like, in fact, we're still, I think,
Oh no.
more youthful
I'm enjoying
than
too. Like, I love the generational interaction. Like,
Yeah.
I do my material podcast is with my podcasting partners. He's very squarely Gen X. I'm very squarely millennial. The folks that I've been hanging out with that are Gen Z have been teaching me a lot about myself through their experiences. And it's also a really nice mirror to have to see, to be like, oh yeah, I used to be that young and unsure and unregulated and like, oh my gosh, life is actually so much better here on the other side of that. It's hopeful. It like gives you a little hope. It makes you look to the future. All right, I'm getting really, really emotional. But
no, we're still quite youthful, and I feel that people aren't aging the same now too. It's
I think millennials, I think it's starting with I know I'm talking a lot about the generations and coming to all sorts of what's it called? Stereotypes.
yes.
Whatever. But I really do feel like Gen Xers are going to show us how to age while still loving the stuff that we did.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. I've gone from loathing, and I think a lot of it is, for a long time, I just always had a shaved head and no facial hair. And only in the last few years have I reversed that. Now, because also realizing at 35 and still having a full head of hair and seeing people around me that don't, I should start taking advantage of it. And then just never had the confidence to grow out facial hair. But now realizing that I've gone from loathing people just, assume like without the facial hair, they're like, hey, what time is your mom picking you up? Like, are you old enough to be drinking that? Like, we get those questions all the time. And now when I mention how old I am, people, it's like reverse. It's kind of like the same thing, but they're like, you don't look like you're 35. And I'm like, well, I don't feel like it either. Like now at least the comments about
And you're
age
moisturizing, right? Every night you're slathering moisture on. That's the key.
I am not. No, you know what it is? I just don't.
That's the key.
I don't really drink all that often. I used to smoke, but I don't anymore. I don't know.
That helps me too. I don't drink all that often either. I drink a lot of water and tea throughout the entire day. I'm just a constant flushing out of system.
Yeah, it's
I try to take care of myself.
I mean, I've got a horrific diet. I drink a lot of diet soda, which I know is awful. And not any better than the regular
things
soda.
That I'm just not going to say on air. I mean, it's just.
I mean, I do a few bumps from now and then. I couldn't do that.
I don't think
I couldn't.
The thing is, even back in the day, I was not hanging out with Charlie and doing that. I was probably a wallflower at home listening to music by myself.
You're a
listening to the
wallflower?
same music, but just by myself.
You're a wallflower listening to the wallflowers.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. One headlight.
Do you know that song? If you listen to that song very carefully, next time you listen, just listen to it. You will not hear on the drums. You will never hear a crash cymbal. There's not once a crash cymbal hit in that song. It's all just snare drum and hi-hat.
Recounting it in my head. Yeah.
It's one of those things that people don't like notice. And then when I call it out to them, they listen back. I'm like, wow, you're right. Because it's a crash cymbal is obviously it adds accents to the percussion. And there's just something about that song that I always would listen to and be like, there's something about this. It's a good song, but it just feels like I know the lyric is we can drive it home with one headlight, but it really does feel like driving in the sense of it just keeps going with nothing kind of like jumping out at you. And I realized because I'm not hearing a crash cymbal ever struck.
I wonder if that's the point.
I think that is the point. And that's unusual. It's just unusual. I can't think of any other song that just with
gotta go write a book about it. I'll talk to you later. Gotta go deep dive into this now and all the other subliminal messages. That's really astute. See, that's the kind of stuff that they should still be teaching in college.
Yeah, I'm
nuanced
just
stuff like that.
See, this is, I guess it's a blessing and a curse just because I don't ever leave the house. You're blurry. I know what you're doing.
I know. You see what I'm doing? I'm trying to get it to focus back on me.
You are hardly focused for a minute. I said the name of the show.
Yeah, haha.
I always have to, in the many buttons I have to remember to press before we start recording, one of them is the turn off the autofocus option on my camera. Because
I guess I should do that too.
Because the
Logitech Brio has a brain of its own. I've got two Logitech cameras hooked up, and I have to use a different app for each one to turn off the auto zoom. Yep.
They don't make it easy.
I have 5 different Logitech apps on my computer just for the different peripherals that I have through them.
And but yet I have a Logitech keyboard that's got the multi-device bank on it. So I just have one keyboard for many computers around me, and I just need to remember that I have the correct device enabled when I'm typing something out in a chat window, because that's going to determine, is it going to go to the work chat or is it going to go to the Facebook Messenger chat? And depending on what I'm typing out, it is probably not going to be suitable for one of those audiences.
Oh my goodness. I just think it's really enjoyable talking to you, because I feel like we could go on all sorts of different tangents. Like, now I want to talk to you about keyboards, but we're not going to go down there. Like,
we can if you want.
It's just, I have to keep myself busy with all these like little things, because these are all dopamine bringers for me.
Sure. Well, can I?
And because everything, yeah.
I'll circle back to the music thing just because by never leaving the house.
I was thinking about that too, in relation to you as well.
I just know there's just random like facts of trivia that just like but it just needs to come out naturally in conversation. I just can't just pull one out of my ass at upon request.
Wrong pipe.
I can play this. Oh my God.
Sorry about that.
Oh my God. Where is it? I'm going to play this. I can finally do it.
Okay.
Oh, it's the worst one. This is a big one. I'm dying. You hear that, Elizabeth? I'm coming to join you, honey.
Whenever I have coughing fits, I quote that. And
that's really good.
And I remember I'd be like, back when I worked in an office, one day I'm having a coughing fit and I'm just like, I'm trying to say, I'm like, I'm coming, Elizabeth, I'm coming. And people are looking at me like, who is Elizabeth? Who are you talking to? And then I just, once the coughing fit was over, I just cracked the knuckles. I'm like, let me tell you a little story about a show called Sanford and Son and a man named Red Fox. And it only took 16 years to finally load that into the board. But music. The band Soundgarden. I love the band Soundgarden. And truth be told, the moment I finally decided I needed some degree of mental health assistance was when Chris Cornell passed away, because that was
right.
He was by his own hand. So, and that impacted me more than like, there are a lot of famous people that have passed away in my existence that have impacted me at various degrees. And for some reason, just like, because like Chris Cornell's music was just so important to me just growing up, that one just hit me like 4 times as hard than anyone else. But
yeah, Robin Williams was that for me, by the way.
That was one of those.
because he was a San Francisco celebrity. We didn't have a lot of celebrities that associated with us in the Bay Area. And so he was a man that you would just see around, like riding his bike. He was part of the community here. And I grew up watching Mrs. Doubtfire, and just the irony of that movie is the movie is about how he is a deadbeat dad, and that's why he's getting divorced, but he's actually like the best dad.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of kids were really into that, because it was like, oh man, that's so cool. That dad is so devoted. Wow. And Aladdin, he was the genie as well.
Yep.
And then I just grew up watching. I love his acting, and I loved his comedy, and I love that he was kind of against the grain. And I did not expect to sob that day. I really didn't, because I'd never been that sad over a celebrity death before.
That one was just tough in that it still just doesn't feel real 11 years later. I remember exactly where I was. I was in a car driving home from a vacation, I think like in Martha's Vineyard or something, and somewhere on the Cape. I was coming back from Cape Cod, and just being in the car and just getting the notification on my phone that he was gone, and just like it sucked the air out of the car, and like everyone was just silent afterwards, and I'm like, no, man, he's just retired. He's just like, he's flown to South America to go be with Elvis, and you know, all the other famous Tupac, all the other famous celebrities that are there now. It didn't, and it still doesn't seem real. But to your point about Mrs. Doubtfire, though, I always enjoyed how they painted him like he is the good dad, despite looking disheveled and homeless when he isn't dressed up like an old woman, whereas the villain is incredibly good looking and also Pierce Brosnan. And like always in black too. Like they really make him the villain, the good looking villain.
Yeah, I think he had a black Mercedes too. I'm trying to remember, but I am a being from the Bay Area, that was really tough. And I'm sorry about Chris Cornell, because I know that was a really big thing for us here too in the Bay Area, because we have our rock stations. This is a big part of the culture. It's just it's the metronome of life that we have to confront, and I think that's what sucks. I think it sucks because it adds to the existentialism too. It's like, haven't I been through enough?
Well, I'm happy you got Live 105 back. That is a good radio station down there in the Bay Area.
Yeah, actually, they so they came back, and they're doing a bunch of summer shows. I'm going to one of them. And I know we've been talking a lot about music that we have in common. So the show that I'm going to is Offspring, Jimmy Eat World, and Newfound Glory.
Hell, I've seen all three of them separately. I think that tour is coming around Boston too. It would be cool to see them all together.
I think they're doing a thing where they're trying to have like the rock stations in each regions take on because Sacramento's rock station has been doing it as well. Like so-and-so presents, which I'm down for, because it feels like the old days, you know, when we had like Jingle Ball and all these other really exciting live events.
Do you still have the BFD? That was Live 105's big.
No, we don't, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that it comes back. I think what they're trying to do. The other thing that got really hard is everybody got scooped up by a big conglomerate during COVID.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So a lot of the indie concert houses, they had to go corporate, which has made it a lot harder to kind of do that sort of thing.
Whenever we talk about the Offspring on the show, by the way, I always have to remember to play this.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that show. It's in the dead of August too, when it's really hot outside. So it's going to be a hot summer show. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, now that Dexter Holland has his PhD, you know, that frees up his schedule now to tour and record music. They were very, not like super inactive, but they didn't put out new music for a very long time because he was literally getting his doctorate. He was in school. And
I know, he was on Fresh Air.
Yeah.
Jerry Gross told me all about it.
It's so funny that that you have Bad Religion, you have Offspring, you have Descendants, where the members of the band all are like they're college professors. They've got their doctorates. They have.
It pays really well, by the way. It's a good. I'm also looking into teaching, by the way, as I near my elder age, because it's a good, consistent way to bring in money without completely selling out.
Yeah. My new doctor. She's not a doctor. She's like a. Oh God, what do they call it? Like a nurse practitioner. She's like, I'm not gonna say she's old. She's she's older than me.
Elder.
She's much older than me, but she, I think, is a great example, a recent example for me of someone who just pivoted late in life to a new career in something that most people do, like obviously right out of high school, like going into, the medical field. And she was like, I forget what she was doing before. She's like, I have my communications degree and like, I didn't like this and I wanted to become a nurse. So like, I'm a nurse now. And I'm like, well, at least like you did it. That's awesome. Like that gives me hope if I want to decide to just like pivot and go into some left field career late in life.
I want us to, I'm such a big cheerleader of our generation to just take on aging as gracefully as we can, to take it back for ourselves, which is why I lean into all this nostalgia and stuff, because it's really fun. And it's really fun to preserve this too, and to be the preserver of this kind of history, and to be the person that is like, back in my day. I understand now why people just sit around talking about World War II. I get it. Thank God I didn't have to do anything traumatic like that. Like, not that I'm trying. I apologize. Thank you for your service to all of those who are in the military. But it does come with,
sure,
some caveats.
Yeah,
that kind of job, right? It's like being a doctor. You have to deal with people dying.
There's various degrees of PTSD. I mean, we have our own. Yeah. I think our generation now has our own. At least I do, form of PTSD, and it was the upbringing of by children of war veterans, or war veterans themselves, depending on the age, and that that acting and that way of life, it does not transfer well, and as I've learned, people pick up on those things, and they pick up on habits, and it shapes their it shapes their outlook. So, it's rough, but yeah, I think we are blessed that we, thankfully, I mean, the Iraq War happened, but we didn't have to do anything with that unless we chose to. Honey. Unless we chose, that's the thing. It was all by choice this time. Back in my parents' generation, they had the draft. My parents always talk about like watching the news, and you see the meme come up, the news about like looking to see if your birthday is going to get called in the lottery, and that's. My mother would, after 9/11, my mother would be like, you better hope they don't bring the draft back because they're going to call you. Like
what's funny is people were saying that to me in 2003. They were like, they're going to call on women. It's a equal society now. So they're going to take you in. I'm just like, what?
Just pull a Jimi Hendrix and just break your leg during basic training intentionally so you can get out of it.
Did you know, by the way, that Charles Schulz, creator of Snoopy, was in World War I?
I mean, he's old enough.
No, I know, but the reason I bring it up is because there is that bit about Snoopy is always pretending that he is in some sort of like Red Baron flight situation. Yeah. And it comes from that. But the thing about Charles Schulz is that he never actually never actually served. Not to the extent that he would have had something like that happen to him, because his mother was very sick. So they dismissed him so he could go home and be with her in her final days. And then the war ended. So he had no reason to go back.
So you mean World War I or World War II? Because he was born in 1922. Was World War I?
Okay, sorry, World War II.
Yeah, Thank
you for looking up the fact on that.
Yeah, because I remember when he died, and I'm like, that would have made him like 100 years old when he died.
I turned it around. So Snoopy is World War I.
Yes,
but he was in World War II. Yes, yeah. Snoopy is supposed to be World War I, Red Baron. Like that's what he's imagining himself as.
I do. So I love retrofuturism. And that's something I always loved about the Peanuts cartoons, is because they were a product of the 1950s. There was just so many elements about that right up until the end in the year 2000, where it was still one of like the last threads of that generation. Because he was, you know, he was progressive, but the style and everything, it was still like
traditional.
Yeah, the Peanuts weren't sitting around in the 90s.
It was Americana.
Yes, they weren't playing with Pogs and playing Mortal Kombat at all. You know, they were
always playing baseball and doing the psychology stand.
Poor Charlie Brown. All that motherfucker wanted to do was kick a football. I feel like Seth MacFarlane especially was really upset about tropes in the Peanuts cartoons, because there's so many cutaways on Family Guy, like old Family Guy, where like Charlie Brown going to kick the football and Lucy pulls it away, so Charlie Brown then beats the shit out of her. And that's in a Family Guy sketch. And I feel that's just Seth MacFarlane just being like, look, all these things kept happening and they were awful, so I'm going to finally this is how I take out my frustration about it. Like, he didn't like he must have hated the song with every, you know, Schroeder behind the piano and everybody dancing around. Because then one of my favorite cutaways is when drug-addled Charlie Brown shows up and it just calls everybody out there. I feel like Seth MacFarlane wasn't a fan of certain things in that comic series. Thank you for letting me.
Now, I'm not like the biggest Seth MacFarlane fan, but I could see what he was doing, because in the Charlie Brown world, we are wholly expecting him to stay passive the entire time. And he was imagining what would happen if Charlie Brown was not to stay passive. Mm-hmm. And, you know, to be realistic, like stuff like that's what happens when you go unregulated through life.
Yep. He was the quiet kid.
You seek other means.
He was the quiet kid who finally lost it.
Which is why we should have mental health services. But, you know, I don't want to get on my soapbox.
Yeah. Hey, Lucy tried it. I mean, she was charging 5 cents for it.
I know.
But
she didn't even take insurance and she was charging that much.
If I may, we're all over the place, which is exactly what the show is about. The music trivia thing, I wanted to bring that up because I'm just fascinated by Soundgarden. So they're getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is the third time they've been nominated. So 3 times a charm. And I noticed that their original bassist is going to get inducted alongside the band. His name is Hiro Yamamoto, and he played on their first couple of albums. Well, there was another guy that played in Soundgarden for a brief period, and his name is Jason Everman. And he is someone who, during the Iraq War, he signed up and went and did like multiple tours of duty out there. And he's like a decorated Marine now. But before that, he was a member of Soundgarden, but like briefly, like I think he's on like one compilation or one EP. And even then it was like a live recording. So not like studio track. And then he left, and I believe then that's when Ben Shepherd joined. But he was also in Nirvana, but not long enough to like really be in the band. He's in a couple of like publicity photos, and he was credited as a member on their first album, Bleach, but he didn't actually perform. He was credited as a member because he fronted the cost of the studio sessions, which was like $600 or something like that. So this man is in 2 bands that has been in, both of them have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, yet he wasn't in either band long enough to be considered worthy of induction. Which, like, I gotta think, like, that would drive me nuts if that were me. Just, I don't know, like, what the dynamic was between all these members where he just wasn't in the bands long enough, but that would just drive me nuts just thinking about it. Like, that's long enough to make you go crazy. just to think like I could have been a superstar. I could have, I could be getting this attention. Instead, I went to Iraq. Instead, I went to Afghanistan. It's like
I mean, to be fair, he did do Marines. So, it's a pretty prestigious branch. Not okay. Again, I'm really not doing well with the servicemen and women today. I'm sorry.
I do. I mean, I just made it sound like I completely discounted his service to our country because I'm thinking more.
Yeah, no. Listen. I understand trying to look out for yourself and making sure that you have the best future for yourself. Mm-hmm. And I'm just saying that if you had the choice and you were picking, I have heard that the Marines is something that you would. Anyway. I'm glad he took care of himself. Perhaps the reason that Nirvana nor Soundgarden worked out was because it just wasn't really vibing with him after all.
Yeah.
And so I would hope that he had done the work to be able to be okay within his own self. By the way, I was looking at the list. It's a pretty good list for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. Salt and Peppa, I know, was a big one.
Yep. Is Outkast?
Outkast is on there. Yes. I was going to say, so Bad Company, didn't know anything about them until they got what's-his-face to do the Queen. Like, I went and I saw him.
Oh, yeah.
Paul
Rogers, yeah.
Yeah, he was the one that was singing for Queen.
Yeah.
And they did like this little tour in the 2000s.
Yeah, Queen plus Paul Rogers.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Joe Cocker was another one that I grew up on.
Okay, nice.
A lot too. And of course, Cyndi Lauper. Finally.
Yeah. Good for her.
And the White Stripes. How could I forget the White Stripes? Of course.
Is this this must be their first year of eligibility then, the White Stripes. Because I think it's 25 years after your first album. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were part of that the garage rock revival, the early 2000s.
Well, now, so I'm reading this Rolling Stone article. There are some notable snubs this year, which include Fish, which I'm sure a lot of Fish fans out there are upset about. Joy Division and New Order, Oasis. I don't know about Oasis. And Mariah Carey.
There's a fabled Mariah Carey like grunge album that she recorded in 1995, and I hope one day we get to hear it.
She should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. When she gets inducted, she should re-release it, knowing her, the marketing genius that she is, and I will give her money. Meanwhile,
my Joy Division tattoo cries, it weeps at the snub.
It's not, I mean, it's possible for them to get nominated another time.
I find it fascinating that both bands, though, got nominated. Like that, I don't know if that's ever happened before because it's such a unique scenario where it's just, one member passes away. That's what happened with Joy Division. Their frontman passed away, so the rest of the band just continued but changed their name. But in essence,
it's a New Order.
Yeah, it's literally the same band though. So
yeah, I think that's actually really beautiful too because it speaks to the legacy of the original band and everybody together. And they did, like this Rolling Stone article says, they did have a significant role in shaping the sound of rock and synth pop. Like, we wouldn't have the stuff we have now if it wasn't for them.
I was reading somewhere that their song Blue Monday, and that's, the New Order's song. That's everybody knows that song is.
I got introduced to it through Orgy, by the way.
Most people I know did. I'm one of the few that.
I feel like the millennials, we really caught on in 2003 or no, it was 1997 actually.
Yes.
Not 2003, 1997. Yeah. 8, something like that.
I at least appreciate that like people became fans of New Order though because of Orgy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like people becoming fans of
it is a Venn diagram of like both bands would be found at Hot Topic.
Sure. Same with Nine Inch Nails and Johnny Cash. It's sort of like two different realms, but it created this crossover, this bleed over.
Yeah.
New Order was talking about the creation of Blue Monday. And they don't think the song would have been as successful if they didn't screw up the sequencing with the drum part with that bass beat, because it's
yeah.
It's off time, and it started off like it's a 1 2 3 4 2 3 4 1 2. So, but when the song starts, it starts on like an off beat, and it was effectively just out of sequence. So it came together as a complete accident. And when they listened back to it and heard it out of sequence, they said, "This is actually much better." And it absolutely worked to their advantage. And just even thinking like, okay, if that song sounded the way they wanted it to, I feel like it just would have been generic. It just wouldn't have been, I'm not going to call it revolutionary, but it wouldn't have been their hit. It wouldn't have been the thing that they were known for.
It was a perfect mistake. Those things don't happen often.
Don't you love those?
Yeah, I don't know that I can recount one I've had recently, but I definitely, when we talk about it in the scope of, like entertainment and music history, it definitely reminds you about the magic that goes into being creative.
Yeah. And
you have to remember that it has to be magical. Otherwise, it won't be magical to the people consuming it.
Yep. And that's what that's what matters at the end of it, right? Like it's that magic element.
By the way, I always get really existential. This is like my thing. So I appreciate you, rolling along with my.
I do too. To
okay, good.
Differing degrees, but I also get existential. All right, let us wrap up this episode with this.
This is the end.
Hardly focused.
The end.
I don't know if this is ending on a dour note here, but Microsoft, it was like like three punches in a row. You and I were kind of talking about this before the recording started, where we got like three bits of news, one after the other, all related to the games industry. The first being the website Polygon, which is a gaming news website, has been sold. And unfortunately, there are people out of work because of that. And then Giant Bomb. What happened with Giant Bomb? Because I know Jeff Grubb, I think, is no longer with Giant Bomb, but
Kotaku had a really good explanation of it that I was reading earlier. I will just point you to go read it over there. I forgot what it was, but I think somebody came back in 2022. Giant Bomb has had such a long, enduring history.
Mm-hmm.
They've been through a lot of rounds of changes in their lifetime. And also, just so everybody knows, the Polygon news is bad because they got bought by a big content mill.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So when you read like Screen Rant, go read up on the person who owns those websites and the things people have said about working at those websites. You will understand why everybody is very sad by this, because Polygon was great. Like, they were doing great in-depth games journalism that isn't really done anymore the way it used to be, which is a bummer.
Yeah, they were the whole organization. There was an article that I think it might have been The Verge talking about it, that someone was quoted as saying it was very much
it's
like
former sister site now.
Yeah, it's like a sweatshop conditions. Digital sweatshop conditions. So that's unfortunate. And then the Microsoft news, which is just like it's infuriating because it's a sign of the times, and I know things just aren't getting any cheaper, but it always seemed like technology and like video games especially was like the one constant where, like, yes, the price of games, I feel like it's fluctuated, because I do recall back in the 90s, video games were very expensive. And then for a time, they were then very cheap. Like when they moved over to, disc-based as a medium, it suddenly became very cheap. And then now they've gotten progressively more expensive, where we're at around $70 to $80 now for a new game. And then the consoles, though, not often do they like go up in price after they come out. They come out at, a set price and then go down over time. And in other countries in the past couple of years, the prices have gone up, but the U.S. has been, I guess,
Pretty
exempt from
consistent.
that. Yeah, we've been fine. And then today, Microsoft announced a global price increase for pretty much their entire console and peripheral line, which is very unfortunate. I'm happy I got my Xbox Series S at $300 because $379 is a pretty significant increase. Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, it's $80, but it's still, that's like
$80 is a lot. It's a lot. And also, like, it's not just Microsoft. I've been following this in some of the other gadget spaces. OnePlus, for instance, which is this little known, it's actually a huge brand, but maybe not as well known as Samsung and Google. But they have this watch, the smartwatch that they put out, and they had to increase the price of it because of the tariffs, which was a real bummer. And it kind of hurt their whole marketing shtick, which is that we put out, really quality tech for maybe a little less of what you'd pay Samsung and Google for. It's the real bummer here is that it's an Xbox. That's that much. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah. And we've been, as a Game Pass.
Maybe if this were a PlayStation,
Sure, I paid a lot for my PlayStation 5. I think
I would swallow it a little easier, but like,
right. Yeah, I threw myself into debt for my PlayStation 5. The Xbox Series S was an impulse purchase. And and I realize now I get what I pay for because the Oblivion remaster does not look good does not play good on the Series S. And I've been
oh, really?
It just the pop in, the frames per second, and then a thing I noticed is that you see these like weird looking lines on the screen that kind of look like eye floaters, and I didn't know what it was, and they're trying to render dragonflies, and I don't know what this is, but it's not a dragonfly. And then when you go through an Oblivion gate, the embers look very much similar. It's just these weird squiggly orange lines on the screen. And I have a feeling the cloud version of the game is that version of it, because I noticed just experimenting playing the cloud version, I saw the same thing there. Whereas now I've been playing it on PC instead because it looks light years better over there. But I bring all that because it was back when consoles were hard to find a few years ago, especially in stores, and my local Target had a couple of Series S's, and I'm like, do I have $300 I could blow on this? No, of course I'm going to buy this. And I did. I'm happy I did. But it's just unfortunate to see it go up. We've already been burned by Game Pass being increased, the price of that being increased by quite a bit over the years. But it's just, I don't know if this is like, can you recall if there's been a global increase like this for an entire product line?
So when you were bringing up the Xbox thing, I was thinking immediately of what Meta did with the Quest 2 headset. Mm-hmm. Quest 2, Quest 3? I forget which one it is. Remember they increased the price on it after everybody had bought it over the pandemic and really got into it. And they were like, oh, we're going to make it $100 more. And it was like, why? That's so weird. You were offering it at $300 before. Why are you making it $400? That's so weird. It reminds me of that a little bit.
Okay.
I feel like they're gonna feel it.
And then maybe drop it.
We're gonna be facing a lot of this coming up, which is also why I'm really reticent. I haven't done, for instance, a Switch 2 pre-order. I'm gonna wait this out a little bit. I'm fine waiting it out. If I do anything, upgrading of anything in the next year or two, it's gonna be I build a PC, because that's where I'm gonna get the most bang for my buck at this point. I'll be able to do work and play on a PC and, do production.
I just did that. I just did it a little while ago. I got a, what do I got in here? 40, I think I got a 4060 in there. And I can never remember the numbers. It's like people are like, oh, what do you got? I'm like, I got a 2040 carry the 2. But that was my most recent PC upgrade, and that was one of those ones that getting it on Amazon and before back then that was just, we knew these price increases were coming, and that was hey, I just happen to have the money. I should do this now because even though this is a graphics card, the price of that should be going down over time, and
it's not because of all the mining and everything else that's going on. It was not this hard back in the day, kids, to buy a GPU. Back in the day, you just went to a big box store and you could find one on the wall.
You go to, what were those? Was it Fry's Electronics?
We had Fry's in the West Coast.
Yeah. Did you live near one that was like one of the cool designs?
I lived the one that was Tesla themed. And so there was a Tesla coil that went off every hour. That scared the crap out of me. I hated it. I actually really hated it. It was so loud. It made its point.
I used to hate, there were stores that you would walk into that they would have like a big fan like right above the door that it would only go off when the automatic door opened. And that would like scare the shit out of me. I'd be like,
holy overstimulation, Batman. Oh my God.
I'd be like clinging
Warn me next time.
Whichever parent I was with, I'd be clinging to them like, I want to go in there. It's scary.
I mean, it is. It's a big whoosh. It's a big sound.
So I can only imagine what a Tesla coil was like.
Well, now I live by another Fry's, not the one I grew up near. I live by, the Fry's is closed. It's gone, right? They're bankrupt
gone,
here on this side. It got turned into a trampoline play center.
They all do.
Yeah, they all do.
I feel like anything that closes now. You were talking about Neiman Marcus earlier. In the rich town, one of the rich towns outside of Boston had a Neiman Marcus in a very large shopping mall that closed, and it became a pickleball court. So they either become trampoline places or pickleball courts.
Because pickleball, the thing about pickleball is it's such a like hoity-toity, preppy sport to play. And the fact that Neiman Marcus, this very high-end department store, but if they couldn't make it a trampoline park for all the people and their disgusting little children, they had to make it for people to play pickleball.
We have another town outside. It's actually the town adjacent to the one I'm talking about. This other town is called Wellesley, and it's where like
I've heard of Wellesley.
The rich people of Boston, if they live in the suburbs, a lot of them live in Wellesley. Well, Wellesley has just been like the town collectively has been upset for the past several years because of pickleball courts and just the sounds coming from the pickleball courts. Just how
we have the
loud
same
it is.
problem in San Francisco, actually.
But it just seems like that's the rich people thing to complain about. There are so many issues in this world, and for them, the most egregious, the most serious is the sound of pickleball being played.
Meanwhile, I love to book myself an Airbnb right in Burbank's flight path, okay? Because there's nothing I love more than a Southwest Airlines Boeing just going over me and just rumbling and everything. It's comforting.
You booked it.
It lets me know the world is still around.
You booked it. I bought it. I live near a regional airport, which is phenomenal if I want to go to Florida because they have a direct line. But the planes fly right over my house. So
yeah, I live next to an Air Force base.
Oh,
so we get the big storage planes that are practicing over us all the time, and they're always flying low because it's some like rookie, new little like baby Air Force person who's like, I'm flying a plane for the first time and it's very low.
Look at me, I'm flying upside down.
I actually haven't seen anything upside down yet.
Okay.
Thankfully.
Very good. Well, this has been fun. This has been
a little too fun.
I hope you had fun. I mean,
Yeah, I had fun.
Good. This is what a given night. These are the fun nights to do the show. Some nights I just feel are like you sit back and you just kind of we stay on topic, and then I'm like, this is tough. And there's other nights like this where you're just you're a ping pong ball, and that's
pickleball.
Yeah, you're a pickleball. Yes, and that's for someone who has never been on the show before. If I can introduce them to that type of episode of Hardly Focused, then it's all worth it.
I'm happy to facilitate.
I'm happy you were here. Thank you for joining me. This was great.
This was very enjoyable. I'm always down if you ever want to just like talk about stuff like this, because it's what I normally consume anyway.
Yes.
So, and I think that's why we started hanging out on Threads. We got a lot of Venn diagram going on.
We do. And this also helps me to gather like, okay, what I know like what you're into, like just based on what these shared interests are, but like what else can like emerge out of the discussion that I can latch onto and be like, all right, for next time.
If you ever want to talk about cults next time, let me know.
I'll get Becky involved in that one.
Ooh, that would be, not to jump ahead. I'm just saying. Sounds like it would be fun.
We love a good cult, a good cult deep dive.
Yes.
There's a what the hell is it called? I'm blanking on it. I have it on Switch. I've played it through twice, but it's about a cult. It's like the art style is 32-bit, so it looks like an old PlayStation game. Nintendo Switch cult game. That's not gonna help me in the least, because Cult of Lamb is what's gonna come up.
That's search history.
Being in a cult. Not Cult of Lamb. I'll send it to you offline. It's a very good game. But you're basically you are a member of a cult that you're going back to the site where the compound for the cult. And
is it my imperfect cult?
It is not. It is called Sagebrush.
Okay.
It's a quick game. Like you can play it in like 3 hours, maybe, if that. I can usually play through it in one sitting, but it's narrative heavy, but it's the characters having flashbacks to their time in the cult as you're like,
oh, I love a narrative heavy.
You're making your way around the compounds to like solve a mystery and get some closure. But it's a very well done game. And again, the art style is like picture like an open world. If the first Resident Evil game was open world.
Okay, I'm signing up. I'm going to go paste this in my little text edit file. There I go.
You don't have to kill anything. You don't have to shoot anything. You just have to look for like clues and switches.
Yeah, that's kind of my speed lately. I just...
Yep. So I'm enjoying Oblivion so much because I don't have to do anything. I just have to just walk around.
I'm going to hold off on Oblivion because I promised my daughter that I would get us a little farther in Hello Kitty Island Adventure, and I've been slacking.
Okay, Butters.
The things we do for our children. What can I say?
Yeah, I hear you. All right, Flo, this was great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
For the rest of you, thank you for listening. We are Hardly Focused. We'll talk at you next time. See ya. Bye.
Goodbye.
May not have happened.
This has been a presentation of the Solid Listen Podcast Network.